in attempts to release pressure. I was thinking that I might be able to just use his body as like fertilizer. I just dig a nice hole and then plant some flowers over him.
He was holding a pen. He stood up and he says, "What if I stabbed you with this pen?"
And I put 2 bullets into his head. The first one didn't kill him.
This is 18-year-old Zayn Skinner being questioned by police after confessing that he had brutally murdered his dad in an unthinkable way. What follows next is one of the most horrific cases of patricide I've ever witnessed.
You stabbed him 3 times in the abdomen to release pressure, and
also 2 times in the neck to allow some more drainage.
On December 10th, 2022, police received a 911 call in which 18-year-old Zayn Skinner emotionlessly stated that his father had been killed. When responders arrived at the crime scene in Rio Rancho, Albuquerque, they found a scene that left them utterly shocked.
You're Zayn?
Yes, sir.
I just want to confirm, who's inside right now?
No one of bodily ability.
So someone deceased inside right now?
Yes, sir.
And who is that person?
Michael Skinner.
And who is that to you?
He was my father. Is it just you in the house? Oh yeah, recently.
Okay. Nothing has been touched? Nothing's in the...
Not other than me.
Okay. So once you found him, you just called 911?
No.
No?
I waited.
You waited? What do you mean you waited, bud?
I waited.
For how long?
24 hours.
You waited 24 hours to call 911?
Yeah, I was confused.
Okay. Stay with them. Let's go inside real quick.
To everyone's dismay, Zayn is completely emotionless and unbothered. Waiting 24 hours after discovering a body is incredibly suspicious behavior. But what officers found inside is even more disturbing. Following a bloody trail to the bath, they found the body of Michael Skinner, Zayn's dad. He was deceased, completely naked, with 2 gunshot wounds to the right side of the head and 3 stab wounds in the abdomen, 2 under the jaw, and 1 near the sternum. A .45 caliber revolver and a kitchen knife were also found at the scene. But what turned Zayn from a victim to the prime suspect is the disturbing things they found in his bedroom. Materials of the occult, a book about making weapons and explosives called The Anarchist Cookbook, and other objects indicating a fixation on violence, all lay scattered around. Zayn was also once arrested for trying to break into his neighbor's house and attacking officers with a skateboard only a few weeks prior.
The kid's name is Zayn. Mm-hmm. We met him 2 weeks ago when you all responded when he tried to force his way into our house.
Oh, he did?
I assume you don't have a record of that?
I have not looked into that.
Okay, yeah. So my wife called 911. I was at work. My wife's getting dressed. She just got out of the bath.
Yeah.
But I want to say a couple weeks ago, again, we could figure out the exact date. Mm-hmm. But Zayn tried to force his way in here. The door was locked, but he, physically put his body weight against the door. My wife called 911. Officers came, responded. He attempted to flee when the officers engaged him, and he was handcuffed and taken away. But you're right, he's been out there, and Taylor has said that he'll do things like he'll watch her, or if he sees her coming, he won't make an attempt to conceal himself behind an object, but he'll crouch down and stare at her.
Just weird behavior.
Yeah, strange.
Right.
And then when she drove off, then he just stood up and watched her.
Yeah.
To top it all off, his own mother reported even more disturbing behavior.
I sat up on the couch and I said, "Let's talk." And he asked me, "Do you understand the things that I write?" And I told him, "No, I don't. Because a lot of what you write doesn't make sense because you're high when you do it." And he stood up and he was holding a pen. He stood up and he says, "What if I stabbed you with this pen?"
What follows is the interrogation of an extremely depraved, evil, and utterly insane killer, who will explain the despicable truth behind his horrific actions.
You just wanted to have your hands behind your back.
Not quite.
You alright?
Yeah, I just like to consider my spacing.
What do you mean by that?
I just like not to pose threats to people.
Okay.
I like defensibility.
Defensibility.
Mm-hmm.
So
I like to think about my preservation a lot and the preservation of others.
Okay.
After Zayn was read his Miranda rights, he immediately started acting weirdly. As the interrogation progresses, he will show even crazier and more deeply disturbing behavior. But for now, it's time to hear his story.
I found my father's presumed dead body in the bathtub of that bathroom that he was found in. I went to check his pulse. There was a great amount of blood within the pool. There was a great amount of blood pooled within the tub. I checked his pulse. He was a bit blue at the fingertips. I noticed 2 marks on his head, so I simply just attempted to right him up, like sit him up, because he was like set with his back into the tub.
It's worth noting how he is telling the story of how he found his brutally murdered father in his own home, yet showing zero emotion. This could be a hint of multiple psychological deficiencies, but we don't yet have enough information to make any proper judgment. However, what follows next is something you haven't heard before.
I decided not to call in. I waited around. I found myself a nice comfortable way to go about cleaning some of the things that I could. I removed sheets, I removed clothing to help myself move him. I was concerned about how much I would spread through the house. From there, since I tried to clean up everything, I figured that I wouldn't call it in, so I took a kitchen knife and I stabbed him 3 times in the abdomen in attempts to release pressure. I was thinking that I might be able to just use his body as like fertilizer. I just dig a nice hole and then plant some flowers over him.
Saying he planned to use his dad's body as fertilizer is something the detectives definitely didn't expect to hear. In an incredibly cold way, Zayn disturbingly reveals that he stabbed his own father after he had died to release pressure. Those statements alone are absolutely insane and tell us where his mind is, but detectives know not to react and interrupt him to get the full story with all its details.
But with those plans, then I decided that I don't have any money. I haven't had much for a long time, so I was in process to get a job. I went to go get his wallet and I went to the ATM, maybe about 8 or 9. I wasn't really paying attention to the time the entire day yesterday. I couldn't withdraw any money because I didn't know his ATM password. I wanted to acquire enough money to buy myself some supplies so that I could bury him, like some nice 2x4s and then some fertilizing soil and then a couple plants. Today I was just concerned about my standing to it, so I just laid sedentary about myself. I made myself some food and I cleaned myself. And then now I slept, I woke up, and then I called y'all.
Notice the long pauses in his speech. There might be multiple reasons for this, among them that he is not thinking quickly, that he is overthinking what to say, or even a more sinister reason. He is talking to the evil voices in his head, which will be mentioned in a moment.
You stabbed him 3 times in the abdomen to release pressure, and
also 2 times in the neck to allow some more drainage.
More detail as far as 7 a.m. December 9th.
I came back from an excursion of mine.
An excursion?
Yes.
Can I ask what this excursion was?
I was outside. I wanted to go to this, not the Zuni, but my father talked of how my brother went to the Zuni and dug himself a hole. And he threatened kicking me out the night before, but he also kicked me out a couple nights prior, 3 days prior. So I found myself I was just choosing the decision to kind of prove to myself what he thought that I didn't have in me. Up north from the house, the path into the neighborhood, and then it leads you out to a street. And then there's a nice Grand Arroyo drainage area, and I just found myself huddled up in one of those places. Like there's little holes.
Okay. Why were you a half mile from the home in a hole off in the arroyo?
I was just trying to prove to myself that I had it in me, like he thought that I didn't have, because he took pity on me.
Here, we see more hints of what could have driven him to such an atrocious act.
He didn't think I had it in
I was
me.
a pussy or something.
Okay,
He
so
thought the same thing about my brother too.
your dad thought you and your brother were pussies.
Yeah, and he actually laid his hands on my brother too. A lot of it in front of me.
Approximately 7 a.m., just before daybreak, in your words, you entered through the garage and not enter through the front door because you didn't have the keys, and you didn't have the keys because they were stolen. So when you walk in through the garage, then what did you do?
You enter the door from the garage to the house.
Okay, so now you're inside of the home.
You path yourself.
The what?
You path yourself into. Normally he's awake, out and about by like 5:45.
Okay, normally your father's awake.
Yeah.
How did you know your father wasn't awake?
Because normally he's around. He makes his coffee right away. It opens to the center of the room. And from there I saw the sheets spread aside and a blood spatter on the sheets. There was blood on the dog bed next to the bed. And then there was no trail leading to the bathroom. I saw Cash on the opposite side of the bed after I looked around and changed the sheets.
It's important to remember that Zayn and his dad had 3 dogs, Daisy, Roscoe, and Cash. This will come into play later.
I was just looking for the dogs and also looking for him, because normally he's out and about. Normally he just feeds them by like 6.
Okay. Well, how do you know if your dogs were fed?
There would have been a third bowl since Cash was there.
Okay. When you made the decision to go to the master bedroom to find your father,
And I saw my dog, Daisy, in my bedroom at the near foot of my bed. And then I went to the right, checked that bedroom, and Roscoe was on the bed. Then I went out to the right to the den, and I didn't see Cash. And then I backtracked past the kitchen, and then to see the master bedroom.
okay, and what did you see when you walked into the master bedroom?
Before I walked in, I saw a stain of blood on the sheets, and on the floor, and on the dog bed. Up to that room, to the direct right, there's a shower, and then to the left of that shower, there's a bathtub, and that's where he was.
Okay. Tell me where his body was in relation to the bathtub, in your own words. What prepositions would you use?
His back was flat against the bottom of the floor, his head towards the drain.
Okay, so he was in the bathtub.
And I checked his pulse. I tried to adjust him, but I wasn't able to adjust him, so I went to the kitchen and I got a knife and I cut into him, both in the abdomen and through the neck. I was attempting to ensure that he was entirely dead, because I didn't know how long he was there.
His story is that he found his father like that, but it doesn't make sense for multiple reasons. He didn't call 911 for 24 hours. He cleaned the house, and he stabbed his own father to confirm he was dead. Not only that, but he had already admitted to it 20 minutes ago.
Decision to go to the master bedroom where you know your father to sleep. You saw contrasting red stains on gray bed sheets and continued to walk into the bathroom, and you encountered your father, who was in the bathtub with his head by the drain. How did that make you feel?
Distraught,
Okay.
depressed,
So tell me about that. Like,
upset,
tell me that moment when you
mournful.
distraught, upset, mournful. What do those words mean to you? What does that mean?
In light of understanding that someone feels that they must kill, and there's a sad notion that you can appeal to it.
So distraught means in light of when someone knows they have to kill.
There can be a sad notion applied to it.
Okay. So you're saying even if somebody makes the decision to kill someone, they can still be upset about it. Is that what distraught means to you?
More distraught in that of the passing of him, not distraught within the notion of the emotional attachment to the kill.
With zero emotion, he expresses that he felt distraught, but his absolutely psychotic statement that he didn't feel sad that he had to be killed clearly implies that he committed the crime. In the detectives' minds, considering the evidence in this interrogation, there is no question about it. But what they need to find out is a clear motive and to explore the extent to which Zayn is mentally ill. If he's truly sick, he can get an insanity plea, which will drastically change the outcome of his sentence.
Are you responsible for your father's death?
Yes.
Okay.
That is probably the easiest confession detectives have ever gotten, further confirming that Zayn is simply not in touch with reality and the consequences of his actions.
I feared that he was going to endanger society further.
Okay.
He was making threats about my life, and I pressed him constantly about that of the dogs' lives within recent past. And I made a call, and I was rejected for that of the help from the community support.
You made a call.
Yeah,
What was the call?
just relating to that of animal abuse.
How are you responsible for your father's death?
I used the double action revolver, and I put 2 bullets into his head. The first one didn't kill him.
Okay. On how you came to the decision to shoot your father with a double action revolver. Tell me about how you were responsible for his death. Give me the whole story.
I awoke and I was prodded by that of a voice in my head. I was told, go.
Ultimately, 5
I
a.m.
walked to the house and I opened the garage, and I entered the premise from the garage. And in that garage, there was that 45 ACP. I grabbed it and I killed him with 2 shots to the head, and I ensured that he was dead with a stabbing to the brain. I wanted it to be humane.
Zayn seems to understand the meaning of words, but he is unable to understand the meaning of his actions and how depraved the situation really is.
I asked him a question,
What did you ask him?
whether he beats the dogs or not.
And what did your father say when you woke him up and asked him if he beats the dogs?
He questioned what I was doing, and then I asked him again, and he said no, and then I shot him.
Where did you shoot him?
In the head twice,
Where on his head?
to the right side of his head.
The false justification Zayn uses for killing his father is that he abused the dogs. But detectives know this is false due to interrogations from Zayn's stepmother.
Do you have any reason to believe that Mike was abusive towards...
Oh God, no.
Okay.
He disclosed that Mike was abusive towards animals.
He's so full of that is a lie.
I'm not saying this to trigger.
I'm sorry. I'm
You don't have
sorry.
to apologize for your emotion.
There is no point in confronting him about this, however, since he seems completely cooperative and unaware of the consequences of his actions.
Process of disposal.
What of it? I couldn't dispose of him.
Okay, why not?
I wasn't capable.
Okay, why weren't you capable?
I don't have the ability. I didn't have the materials, the resources.
Or more specifically, I guess, the voice that told you to go. Is there anything...
Out of the voice that told me to go, I've been interacting with many. The threats that were exchanged was heard by that voice. He responded to those are the threats of my father.
Okay.
And he has giving me the command per se.
So this voice commanded you to act on its behalf and kill your father.
Yeah.
Okay.
What were the threats that your father did? You and your voice?
He was boasting that he had his firearm in his hand
And when was this?
the night before the shooting. He started stomping around more. He started saying, yeah, I leaned my head past the barrier of the door frame, and I kept my gun behind that of the door frame and talked to your brother. I wonder how many times he did that to me. He didn't do it that night. He just threatened that he had his gun in his hand and that he was ready to pull around and pop me. I was concerned. I had my water. And I threatened that I would use all of my ability to defend myself in such an instance.
It's highly unlikely that this ever happened since we know that he lied about the dogs, but it is possible that, due to Zayn's psychosis, he genuinely believes this had happened.
Can you tell me in your own words how you came to the decision from when you originally thought, well, I'm going to use his ATM card to purchase materials in order to dispose of his body, to the point where you made the decision to call 911. Can you tell me about that?
I understood that I fucked up, so
Okay.
legal jurisdiction overrides that of religious jurisdiction within these realms.
Help me to understand that. Legal jurisdiction within religious jurisdiction, and you fucked up.
Well, I was just prodded. I was prodded by that of an entity or deity that I proclaim much amounts of respect for.
What's this deity? Does this deity have a name?
Yeah, God.
Okay. So you made the decision that you had fucked up in God's eyes.
No, I didn't fuck up in God's eyes. I fucked up in the eyes of the law.
Okay. So in God's eyes, you were justified. You fucked up on this, however you want to put it, man's law. And tell me about that. I mean, what, even if it's some inner monologue that you had with yourself, I'm just curious to know Zayn's process from the time that he had decided, I cannot dispose of this body. Tell me everything about that. What went through your head? What did you think? What did you do?
I thought of how it is that I was going to treat my dogs. I thought, I'm going to go ahead and live for about 2 weeks going to PetSmart. And then I'll work and I'll acquire some money. And during those 2 weeks, I'll ration the food for the dogs. And then from there, then I'll be able to acquire my materials. And I'll be able to dispose of them then.
Okay. What were you going to do in the meantime with your father's body?
I wouldn't have wanted to let it rest. I would have probably disposed of it in pieces into trash bags to ensure that it didn't rot up the house anymore.
Okay. And why did you make the decision to call 911?
Because I had no avenues or resources about myself to complete what it is that I wanted to do. And so I figured that someone else can deal with it and deal with me as consequence as well.
Okay. What are you expecting will happen? Like, give me a projection. What does the next 6 months of your life look like? What's the next year of your life look like? Like, how do you imagine this playing out?
I assume that I will be tried within time.
Okay.
Within that of a court and before a jury.
And?
I assume that I will be held in that of detainment.
I think I know what you mean, but can you elaborate? What does that mean?
I'll be given a cell for the next 6 months until my jury proceeding.
Okay. And then?
then I will be tried and convicted as a felon.
Okay. And why will you be tried and convicted as a felon?
Because you've gotten a confession out of me saying that I've killed my father.
Okay. Would you have done anything differently?
If I were to kill him?
You can interpret that question however you want. If you could do it...
If I could have done it differently, I wouldn't have killed my father, and I would have had him instituted within that of a prison for that of animal abuse.
By this point, detectives know he is probably insane, but they still need to figure out the extent to which he is dangerous and whether he intended to kill his father. It is possible at this point that he receives a light sentence due to his lack of awareness and possible insanity, so the detectives need to probe further.
Am I missing something? What? It's funny.
No, you guys don't know anything. That's all.
You don't have anything?
I don't know anything.
What do you mean you don't know anything?
I just should have known
Should have known what?
to talk to more people
About
the abuse that was going on within that household and the threats.
Seeing Zayn laugh after all we've heard is certainly a sight. Now the detectives will leave him alone for a bit to observe his behavior.
Did you do snacks?
Yeah.
Good.
More laughing. It's clear that he really hears voices in his head, as he says. But there is also the possibility that he is acting, since, despite his previous behavior, his family never suspected him of being insane. If he is acting, it has to be one of the best performances ever. But at this point in the interrogation, it is doubtful, since his actions outside the room also support this theory. Detectives then continued to probe into details and motives that could land him a longer prison sentence.
I dragged him off the bed by that of underarm straps.
Underarm straps?
The striatal muscles.
Would you be able to, if you stood up and demonstrate your body orientation at that time, would you be able to do that for us? So we can understand what that means.
I don't know, I just reached over. I pulled, tried him on the ground, and then I tried him like this, carried him like that, and then I moved myself around, and I carried him just slowly like that.
Okay, so the first part where you were on this side, so explain to me what your father's body was doing at that point.
His head was facing forward.
Okay, so his head was so oriented
Towards the bathroom.
And did you drag his feet or his armpits?
Yes, by under the arms.
Okay, so under here, like your hands would be under this part of his body.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that accurate?
There was one man that arrived. I didn't talk to him, or I didn't formally address him.
Okay. Do you know, can you give me some time frame, like when this man arrived?
Sometime in the afternoon, like 1 to 2, 1 to 3.
Okay.
I was alerted, and he walked up to the door. He rang the doorbell twice. I went and stood next to the door while it was well timed that he looked away, and then I conversed with him through that of the wall.
So you did have a conversation with him?
He was trying to figure out my motive.
What do you mean by that?
He was wondering why I did it.
So, can you tell me exactly, like...
I said because I was pissed off about the dog and how they're being continued to be mistreated.
Okay. What was that exchange of dialogue like?
Respectful.
Okay, but what was said?
After that of the motive, then we detoured to a different discussion, that of religion.
About how long was this conversation?
Maybe like 7 minutes at the most.
According to Zayn, a mysterious man arrived at his house soon after he killed his father, with whom he had discussed the murder. But listen closely to what he is about to say next.
He was just concerned with understanding the viewing that he took.
What was the viewing that he took?
He wanted to know the motive.
And you told him that it was about your concerns about animal abuse.
Yeah, I informed him that I was upset with that of how he was cruel and how he treated that as living beings.
How did the topic of your father's passing come about in the conversation? Like, tell me how that.
He just simply knew.
He simply knew.
Yeah, he just simply knew.
The man just came, he just knocked on the door and knew that he was dead.
Yeah.
Did he know how he had died?
I assume he knew.
Okay, so
He didn't ask.
He didn't ask.
No.
You didn't say.
No.
You assumed that he knew how he died.
Yeah.
But you're telling me that he did know he was dead.
Yeah.
And that for 7 minutes, the two of you just talked with the door in between each other.
Yeah, I changed my location while I was talking to him.
Okay, this is interesting to me. How did you change your location and have a conversation with him at the same time?
Yeah, that's the crazy thing. My God, he lets me do that.
So you were having a conversation with him while changing your location. Where did you relocate?
Just the garage.
Just to the garage?
Yeah, I smoked.
Okay. So how are you having this conversation?
We were just sharing our thoughts.
Without using words?
No, we're using words.
Okay.
We think with our words.
But I mean, help me to understand. I've never done that before. Like, how does that happen that you have a conversation with someone on the other side of the door during which you relocate to the garage and continue sharing your thoughts using words? How does that happen? Because, I mean...
Using words meaning the spoken voice. Are we using our spoken voice, or are you saying that your thoughts and his thoughts were meshing and you guys were communicating through thoughts or through the spoken word?
I mean, you have to appreciate that's a fair question. How does that happen?
Yeah, I guess we just found the same wavelength.
Okay.
So you were not using the spoken word?
No, I wasn't vocalizing.
Okay. So the whole conversation was using your thoughts and not the spoken word.
The more this story goes on, the more we realize just how psychotic Zayn must have been during the crime. Because according to him, he had a telepathic conversation with a man who asked him about the murder.
Or doorbell camera video or anything like that, would it tell a different story?
No other videos would tell different stories than what I've told you, other than one lie.
And what's that?
I don't care to disclose.
Okay, but there is a lie, you just won't tell us what it is?
Yeah.
Okay. Because, yeah.
That's our job to figure that out.
For some unknown reason, he is telling the detectives that there is one single lie in his story. It's possible that Zayn may be trying to toy with them in an even crazier train of thought.
Magical box.
Say again?
My magical box.
The magical box? Is that what you referred to?
Yeah,
also?
just jokingly.
No, I mean, let's be real. They are kind of magical what you can do with a cell phone. There's all kinds of information that's available on cell phones. I kind of like that magical box. Your father was tortured.
I said that it may have been possible that he was tortured.
Okay, fair. That is exactly what you said. It may have been possible that he was tortured. That's a good memory. Can you explain to me what that means? Why did you say that?
Because of the markings that I left on him.
What markings did you leave?
That is the puncture marks.
Puncture marks?
From the kitchen knife.
From the kitchen knife.
You said a couple of things. Is that okay, Mr. Lee?
No, go for it.
So you said a couple of things about stabbing him 3 times in the abdomen and then twice in the neck. Is that accurate? You said those things earlier in our conversation?
Yeah, there was one more marking just near the torso area. Near
the torso? Like around the sternum area?
More towards the outside.
Okay. And you also mentioned at one point, and I just want to clarify, you said that you had stabbed him in the brain. Did you stab him in the brain as well?
Yeah, that was the intent.
the attempt.
Yeah. But when we were talking, you gestured like this. Yeah.
So where exactly did you stab him so that we are aware?
Just underneath the jawline.
Okay, and that was the 2. Is that accurate?
Yes.
From what you told us?
We just wanted to make sure we had it right. So 3 to the abdomen, 2 underneath the jawline with the attempt to get to his brain. Yeah.
And then you have an additional just to the right of what that orientation is to the area of the sternum on the torso area.
Yeah.
And if you don't know, then that's fine. If it's just a guesstimate, we're just trying to get a picture of what. That his head was toward the drain, his back was flat on the floor of the tub. Tell me about his arms and legs. How are those positioned?
His arms are splayed out and his legs are splayed out.
Well, that's how you killed him. But when Detective Hatch asks how he was moved, you don't say, I moved him. You say, he was moved.
What of it?
Why do you phrase it that way? Is there anyone else responsible for the death of your father?
No.
Is there anyone else that was involved in the death of your father?
No. Just me and my hand.
Is there anyone that is responsible or involved in the moving of your father's body from the bed to the tub?
No.
It's interesting that Zayn appears to be a very intelligent man with a good memory and a strong understanding of language, yet he still exhibits such irrational behavior. What is going on inside his mind at this point is truly a mystery, or still, just an act.
As good an opportunity as any for you to tell us your story, but sometimes you seem very reluctant to give us information, and I don't understand why.
Just hesitant.
Okay.
But it's information nonetheless.
We do appreciate all the information you're giving us. I think you're being very helpful. You're being fairly honest with us.
While this footage cuts around Zayn being quiet and not answering many questions, or just being extremely coy with answers, it's important to note that the detectives had a very hard time getting him to speak. However, they still did a pretty good job of revealing the story. Still, they need as much information as possible for the court to ensure a fair trial.
Decision to change one thing or to be deceitful on one thing according to you?
Just because I decided to tell you that I lied about that one thing.
Just to make it a challenge?
No.
Numerous times, detectives have hit a dead end in conversations like this during interrogations. Zayn sometimes decides not to reveal certain details, which is strange behavior, considering he already revealed the most incriminating details.
That of my self-preservation.
Okay, what was going through your mind at that time? Like, what were your thoughts?
I was feeling extremely threatened.
You're feeling extremely threatened. And in an effort to self-preserve, you acquired that of the 45 ACP double action revolver.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And did you have any intention to use the firearm at that moment?
Only in out of defense of myself.
Okay. Were you planning to use that firearm when you acquired it? Okay. So, fast forward again back to 5 a.m.
This appears to be the clear motive of the crime. Zayn felt threatened. In the court of law, the verdict here could be not guilty based on a claim of a psychotic disorder, which caused the delusion and therefore led him to kill his father.
Possession now, the voice inside your head. At what point did the knife become involved? Can you tell me how you...
That was of my own volition.
Say it again.
That was of my own volition.
I don't think I understand what you just said. What did you...
I chose to do that.
It was of your own volition?
Yeah, I chose to ensure that he was dead.
Okay. So, break down for me in sequence your father. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yes.
Okay. Which means after he was shot, you made the decision to use a knife to be humane and ensure that he was dead.
Yes, that was my intent.
Okay. And where did you acquire this knife? Where did you locate this knife?
From that empty kitchen.
Okay. And tell me about the decision process. I mean, it's not every day that I have these kinds of conversations, and I'm curious. What knife did you decide to use? And what made you decide to use that one knife in particular?
Just a regular thin knife.
Okay. What was your thought process? This is the knife. This is the correct knife. This is the appropriate knife. Like, why did you decide that one?
Because I figured that it'd be most giving for the avenue of severing his nervous connection.
Did you have other knives to choose from?
Yeah, if I tried to search a lot.
Were there any other knives available to you at the time?
Yeah, plethora.
And what was your decision not to use those knives?
First come, first serve.
Convenience and availability.
Yes.
That is a knife that's available to me right now within arm's reach. This is the knife I will use.
By this point, we can get a clear picture of Zayn's thought process. He felt forced by the voice of God to kill his father under the pretense of threat. Then he stabbed his father under his own volition to ensure he was dead, in what he describes as a humane act. Considering his unstable state, his actions are finally starting to make sense, at least from his own perspective.
Yes.
Yeah.
So when does his presumed wife return from wherever she is?
She gave a time frame just shy of a month.
Okay. Do you know where she is?
Somewhere along the eastern continents. Okay. I presume near the coast. They spoke Germany as well.
Okay. So she's eventually coming back.
I'd assume so.
Okay. So do you think she has concerns at this point?
Yeah, probably. I would assume so.
Have you spoken to her?
I haven't.
What about before all of this occurred? Did you speak to her often?
We had our passing interactions. I was kind to her and she was very kind to me, very generous.
Okay.
So you had a good relationship with her?
Yeah.
You had good rapport?
Mm-hmm. What do you think her thoughts would be on this incident?
I was confused to why that they shared the relationship that they had. They had a lot of bickering for a lot of time. They didn't have a very healthy relationship, I thought. But I'd assume that she might be in grievance, considering a situation of death.
It's fair.
What would you assume she'd think about the manner in which he lost his life?
I think that she might think it's a handy choice to use that of a humane firearm. I mean, that of a handy choice to humanely use that firearm.
Okay.
How do you feel about telling us your side of the story? How do you feel about this moment, this opportunity?
Disgruntled.
Disgruntled?
Mm-hmm. Distressed.
Distressed, disgruntled. Mm-hmm. About which part?
The confession aspect, as well as that of the understanding that he passed and that you guys are continuing to poke and prod.
Okay. But you seem to understand why we do that. I mean, like, what else do you expect an investigator to do? And the thing that we do is in the very title of our job description. I investigate. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, this is what I do.
So scratch that. I'm not distressed about this interview at all.
After the last chilling exchange in which Zayn laughed at the suffering of the victim's wife, his defense pleaded not guilty by reason of insanity in August 2023. Later, the defense changed its stance and pleaded guilty to second-degree murder on September 9th, 2024. In a shocking twist of fate, Zayn was only convicted to serving 6 years in prison and 7 years of probation, and will be housed in a mental health unit where he will receive treatment. Despite his insanity, It is probably incredibly unjust and scary to Michael's loved ones, and especially his wife, to think that his killer will be released only after 6 years. For the sake of the victims and people in the community, we can only hope that Zayn's treatment is effective and genuinely helps him with his mental illness, so he never kills an innocent person in cold blood ever again. If you enjoyed our production, check out this video next and subscribe to get every upload. Goodbye.